Rain hammered the city that night. A man in a torn coat stood outside a glowing restaurant window, shivering, soaked, and hungry. Inside, crystal glasses clinked, laughter echoed, and luxury sparkled. Then the glass door opened. Out stepped Michael Vance, a billionaire CEO known for his charm, power, and ruthless ambition. The beggar's weak voice broke through the sound of the storm. "Sir, please. Just $1 for food." Michael's cold eyes scanned the man from head to toe, then he smirked. "You know what your problem is? Excuses." He flicked a dollar bill into a puddle and walked away under the cover of his driver's umbrella. The beggar whispered through the rain, "You'll learn what hunger feels like, Mr. Vance. Maybe not today, but soon." If this story shocks you, take a moment right now to like this video, comment, share it with others, and subscribe to Moral Avenue. Together, we can remind the world that money means nothing when compassion is gone. Michael Vance built his empire from the ground up, at least that's what he told the world. He was the son of a factory worker who died trying to make ends meet. But the higher Michael climbed, the more he despised the life he came from. He built Vance Holdings, a real estate company that devoured small neighborhoods to build luxury towers. He called it progress. Others called it greed. When reporters asked if he ever donated to charity, he laughed. Charity doesn't build empires. Discipline does. His next big project, the Skyline District, meant demolishing a rundown shelter that had housed the homeless for years. He didn't flinch. He saw faces, not lives' numbers, not souls. That night, as bulldozers tore through the shelter, one of the workers found an old photo on the ground, a picture of a man serving soup to a line of hungry people. The same face as the beggar outside the restaurant. A month later, the Skyline Gala shone with gold and ego. Michael stood before reporters, flashing smiles and shaking hands. He bragged about his success, his vision, and his unstoppable rise. But that same night, as champagne glasses sparkled, his phone buzzed. Fire alarms. Construction site engulfed in flames. Millions in damage. Insurance refused coverage of suspected arson. The next day, investors pulled out. Stocks plummeted, and the once invincible Michael Vance began to fall fast. Within a week, his accounts were frozen. His mansion is foreclosed. His board voted him out of his own company. He screamed at his assistant, his lawyer, anyone who picked up the phone, but no one could stop the avalanche. The media called it the fall of the Vance Empire. And in that empty penthouse, surrounded by silence and debt notices, Michael realized for the first time, he had no one left. No friends. No family. No warmth. Just cold marble floors and the echo of his own arrogance. One freezing evening, desperate and hungry, Michael walked the city streets, the same streets he once looked down on from his penthouse window. Rain soaked through his torn coat. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. Then, a glow caught his eye at a small food stand on the corner. The aroma of soup drifted through the air. He stumbled toward it and froze. The man behind the counter looked familiar. It was him, the same beggar he had mocked. But now, the man looked different, calm, radiant, alive. He was feeding others. Families, children, the broken, all for free. Michael's voice shook. Do you remember me?" The man smiled softly. "I do. You once said I needed discipline." Michael's eyes welled up. "I lost everything." The man handed him a bowl of steaming soup. "No, you lost nothing. You're just finally empty enough to be filled again." As Michael ate, warmth flooded his body, and for the first time in years, so did humility. He looked up to thank the man. But the man and the stand were gone. Only the bowl remained. Still warm. Months later, Michael Vance wasn't a CEO anymore. He was a volunteer serving meals at a homeless shelter rebuilt where the Skyline District once stood. He no longer wore suits. He wore peace. One afternoon, while cleaning, he noticed a faded newspaper on the wall, a story about a local man who once ran a free soup kitchen for the poor. The same face he had seen that night. The headline read, "Community hero dies in shelter, fire hundreds left homeless." The date, 5 years ago. Michael froze. The man he met that night had been dead for years. He dropped the paper, tears filling his eyes. Maybe that encounter wasn't of this world. Maybe it was mercy, a second chance. He looked out the window as rain began to fall again. And then a knock on the door. A young boy stood there, soaked, clutching a torn paper cup. "Sir, can you spare some change?" Michael's face went pale. He reaches into his pocket, but the camera cuts to black before we see what he does. To be continued in Part 2. Moral: the richest man is the one who remembers his humanity. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe to Moral Avenue, where we reveal the truth behind pride, pain, and redemption. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with friends, subscribe to Moral Avenue, and leave a comment below. Your support helps us continue spreading stories that inspire and heal. Before we end, I have one special request. Comment below what would you have done if you were Michael Vance that night. Thank you for watching Moral Avenue.